our nature that we've learned since childhood is to be who we've been. And yet that is exactly what gets us stuck. It's what eventually, if you persist in that long enough, will make you unhappy. And eventually you'll become crotchety, which is the worst of all human characteristics that you can develop. But this happens from someone that says, well, once upon a time, someone made me change. Once upon a time, I had an experience where someone, brought change in my life. Someone did so. I was victimized.
So I was at Target last night, Kris, and this dude walks up to me and he goes, "Hey, are you Kris's buddy? Are you Kris Krohn's buddy?"
I am so sorry that is happening to you now.
And I was like, yeah, I work with Kris. He's like, "You work with Kris?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm his CEO." And he's like, "Dude, no way. I watch you guys all the time. Kris is a cool dude, right?" And I was like, "Very cool." And he's like, "Yeah, man, I like him. I watch your guys' stuff all the time." He's like, "Hey, listen, I bought your package. That thing, so I just want to get involved. And it came with 2 tickets." And I'm like, "Is that real?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Because I went on your website and I couldn't find like anything about free tickets." Anyway, so I give him the number to support, and he's going to come on out to the event. But that was crazy. Does that happen to you like all the time?
All the time.
That's pretty crazy, right?
I love having, this microphone is such a privilege. I mean, I've got an amazing team that knows how to put all of this stuff out there, but I've always felt that the microphone was a sacred opportunity because you're getting leverage. I think there's something divine about the opportunity to speak to more than one person at a time. And sometimes I get to speak to millions of people in a single day. And, I once felt like I had cultivated my life in a manner where I could work on myself and develop certain levels of mastery. And sometimes the motivation was, I just want to help people. Like my wife and I, we went through some real struggles in our marriage, but we both had a commitment to each other. We got to figure this out because there are people out there that we would love to be able to impact as we figure these things out. And so that's just kind of been some of my hardwiring from the beginning, which is help as many people as possible. And my content is definitely not for everybody. But for those that it is, if I can help, it's a privilege.
That's awesome. So he told me, he's like, "I want to come on out to the event." And like, I just had 10 seconds to share with him. I was like, "Dude, our events are crazy. They're awesome. They're life-changing." But I felt like it was inadequate to express to him what our events
Dude,
are
it is
like.
so, I still haven't found words that like tell someone why they should give up 4 days of their life and go into a fully immersive experience to be tested and tried with new knowledge, new content, new ideas, and certainly pushed out of their comfort zone. So that doesn't even sound appealing. I'm like, oh, great. Yes, you want to put me in a very uncomfortable, what feels like unsafe environment for 4 days. Yeah. Is this a cult? It sounds wrong.
So I thinking about it, I'm actually like, don't focus on the event. What are the results?
Yeah.
What happens after someone attends the event,
I think people come out to the event because there's an initial attraction to all of my real estate, business, financial concept and training. And they're like, well, if I come to this event, I'm going to get that. And that's exactly what they're going to get. I give them literally a blueprint how anyone can become financially free in 5 years. I think to live in this country at the level of privilege that you have, as long as you have some level of average ability and capability and can follow systems, there's 5 core investments I believe in. If people follow the roadmap, maybe they won't be financially free in 5 years. They will be better financially off than probably having done anything else otherwise. And you'll certainly have people that become rich during that era, or maybe take some people 10 or 20 years. I mean, we're all different. So they get that. That's, I think, the draw. But once they come into my world, I think what people aren't prepared for is that to achieve any result different than what you have in the past, there has to be a mind shift. You have to upgrade your belief system. You have to challenge ideas that have held you back in the past. And the problem is those are blind spots. That's why this is so hard to meta-communicate about is that we are blind to the things that hold us back most of the time.
To the things we need.
And to the things we need. So during the event, I know what those things are. And so I create a series of processes. We're constantly up out of our seats and doing things and activities. Because if you want to, it's one thing to have knowledge, right? The information age is past. All the knowledge of how to get what you want in life is available. What's lacking is the motivation. So the bigger question isn't how do I get there? It's how do I get myself to want to get there? How do I find the inner drive and motivation? So that's where I spend 70% of the event. It is deep inner psychological work of people understanding what are the theoretical underpinnings of how I shift behavior in my own life? How do I manipulate this creature? How do I beast myself into somebody that can make myself do things that are uncomfortable or hard or difficult? For me, it's a passion. There's a science to it. There's a bit of an art. And beyond just providing that experience, I also show people how to provide it for themselves, because ultimately you have to own your own transformation. There's no guru, there's no preacher, there's no one that is responsible for your life's results other than yourself. So part of it is really empowering people. I'm like, okay, you're telling me that if I go to this event, I can learn how to tap into motivation for things that are good for me that I haven't been able to do in the past? Well, isn't that what's got to be required? I mean, don't think that making $1 million or $5 million is an easy journey. There's a lot of change. There's a lot of new decisions. There's a lot of things you have to rethink. And along the way, you're going to be challenged. You could find yourself in a lawsuit. Or more realistic, you're going to have certain friends and family that are going to say, that's weird. What the heck are you doing? And all of a sudden, they may not be supporting some of these new endeavors, because people are like crabs in a bucket. We acclimate ourselves to people that hang out with us, and we're comfortable with each other's level of choices. The moment someone makes choices that are outside of what's been socially accepted, that's when people's first reaction is to feel threatened. And so even if a change is good, they're going to say that's bad. Because human beings, our very nature, our nature that we've learned since childhood is to be who we've been. And yet that is exactly what gets us stuck. It's what eventually, if you persist in that long enough, will make you unhappy. And eventually you'll become crotchety, which is the worst of all human characteristics that you can develop. But this happens from someone that says, well, once upon a time, someone made me change. Once upon a time, I had an experience where someone, brought change in my life. Someone did so. I was victimized. You're right. You were. I believe you. We all were in some way, shape, or form. Question is whether you created a set of rules that are now holding you back that you're still honoring, or whether it's time to upgrade those. Most of us, we don't know how to upgrade our own rules. We need a guide. And so if you want to own your own transformation, you have to, I think you got to get inspired, and I think you got to get with people that know how to do that neural hack. And that's what the event is about. If I wanted to show you how to make $1 million, then I have to adjust a lot of the insane ideas that you have in your life that keep you from making more money.
So the beautiful thing is, if anybody is interested in this, just hitting up kriskrohn.com/podcast. We have events going on all the time. That site will always be updated with our upcoming event experience that you can come out and spend this time and get close to Kris Krohn. And I have to say that right now is the best time to come out and do that, because in years hence, Kris, your audience keeps getting bigger.
Yeah, it's still pretty intimate. I mean, at our August event, we'll have probably 600 people. I think that is an amazing, manageable audience size that I really enjoy spending time with. But yeah, I mean, things are, our company is double, tripling, quadrupling every single year. Things are growing. And I think it is important to have a few opportunities a year where people can come and connect and get live. Because for me, the greatest growth that I experienced in life did not come from reading a book. I got my 5th book coming out. I think books are great. I think it's an introductory approach to basic growth. But anyone that is living life on a more serious plane and demands results in their life and demands that they grow in every, have it all, right? Like you're growing in your health, you're growing in your relationships, you're growing financially, you're growing with God. If you want to experience growth in all those levels, you got to, at some point, you got to graduate beyond books. You don't stop reading them, but you realize that what's faster? Let's just say for a moment that your child has a life-threatening illness, and you need $250,000 for an experimental procedure that would give your daughter her only shot at life. And you have 2 choices. I'm going to go to the library and I'm going to read. Or I can get in the airspace of a person that inside of 3 months can help me make $250,000. What would you rather do? Try to consult with a book that can't talk to you, or talk to someone that is at your side, watching you, observing you, and realizing your weaknesses and your flaws in thinking and your approaches, and that can help you say, hey, here's a shortcut. Here's a tip. Here's a shortcut. Don't do it that way. Your daughter's life's on the line. Don't do it that way. My life didn't go to the next level until I realized that the biggest shortcut was not a degree, not a piece of paper that says I'm smart, and it's not books. You got to graduate from entry-level education. And you got to go to the real education, which will always be go to the people that have already produced the result 100 times over, that know it like the back of their hand, and in their sleep could walk you through how to produce that result. There will never be a faster shortcut on the planet than that. So live events, dude, that's a lot of energy for me. That's 4 big days for me. That's 4 big days for you. But I do it because when I've been in an immersive experience with my mentors, it was the fastest path of learning. Also, it is true that you will leave that event with a level of commitment and dedication and decision-making that you just don't get out of a book. So I think that events have their place, and that's why I do them.
www.kriskrohn.com/podcast.
Well, and just real quick, real quick. You don't have to go to my event. You should be asking yourself, what do you need for your level up? And do you want to take the slow road or do you want to take a faster road? And if you want the fastest road, you ask, who do I resonate with? Who do I connect that with that is the consummate expert that I respect? And then you got to find out, how do I get in their airspace? How do I get inside their room? How do I get in their mastermind? And at some point you got to say, this can't be about money or this can't be about time. You got to get desperate enough for realizing how short your life is and realizing that if this is the chapter in your life to get that result, if you take the slow road, you may never get there. If you take the medium road, you may never get there. If you take the most aggressive road, you still might not get there. So I always default to the most extreme action. And that's not a popular opinion, but it is why I grow at the rate that I grow. And people are confused with my brand sometimes, like, bro, how come you're in this field, in this industry, and you're all these places? It's like, I've actually developed 15 different Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours of mastery in 15 different places. So you see me in so many places because I believe that Earth School is about growing. So take the principle and run with it. Find your next area of growth wherever it's supposed to be. Find the person that you feel is the one that you get to learn from, and then force yourself, buy your way in, do what you have to do, get on a plane, get in a car, get in that airspace so that you can honor your own life by having the most aggressive journey possible. Because even when you take the boldest action, it does not guarantee a result.